Good afternoon, everybody. This is a Chapter 1 presentation of the Schoolhouse Gate, written by Jordan Davis, Nakaya Hill, Destiny Jackson, and Kristen Smith. So, Chapter 1 of the Schoolhouse Gate, which touches base on public education, the Supreme Court, the battle for the American mind, is a chapter that explores early encounters with race, culture, religion, and patriotism. This chapter was written in order to touch base on certain tensions that students faced in the schoolhouse that went against several amendments, with especially emphasis on the 14th Amendment under the Equal Protection Clause. It shows how students' constitutional rights were rejected in many Supreme Court cases, which is an example of the justice system in the United States of America.
First case that we'll be going over is Cummings versus Richmond. In the summer of 1897, the local school board in Augusta, Georgia, eliminated the only high school for Black students. It was stated that the school would be repurposed to serve 300 Black elementary school students instead of the only 60 students. At first, the issue was initially viewed as a racial problem, but the lawsuit later established that the school board's decision violated the 14th Amendment as white students still had a public high school to go to. It was stated, if the Negroes demand a high school, it seems to be their right under the law or habit, and no doubt the Board of Education, while disagreeing with their judgment, will cheerfully comply with their wishes. Georgia's Supreme Court rejected this legal claim 3 months later by stating that overall, this would be the best decision for the interests of their race. There was an extreme rarity at the time for high school education at Augustus, where High School was the only school that offered a public secondary education to Black students, and one of the only 4 institutions in the 11 states of the former Confederacy. The Equal Protection Clause gave Black people the civil equality while disregarding their social equality. Justice Harlan believed that education was a civil right which isn't protected by the Equal Protection Clause. Overall, the Black high school students were denied an education in equivalence to the whites, and they essentially lost their case.
Now we're talking about Meyer versus Nebraska. Meyer versus Nebraska was a United States Supreme Court case that was held in 1819. Nebraska law restricted for foreign language education violated the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment.
The next case we will discuss is Lum versus Rice. Gong Lum was a tax-paying resident of Rosedale, Mississippi, and he was the father of 9-year-old Martha Lum. Martha was a native-born citizen of the United States and attended the first day of school at the all-white Rosedale Consolidated School. However, at the noon recess, the superintendent, acting on an order issued by the Board of Trustees, notified her that she would not be allowed to return to the school because she was of Chinese descent and not a member of the white or Caucasian race. Martha's father subsequently filed a suit. A state trial court entered a mandamus order in favor of Gong Lum, directing officials to readmit his daughter. It held that Martha should not have been classified as colored. The Supreme Court of Mississippi, however, reversed, citing the state constitution, which called for separate schools for white and colored students. Furthermore, the court held that Martha was of the Mongolian or yellow race and could not be considered white. Gong Lum versus Rice case, in which the U.S. Supreme Court on November 21st, 1927, ruled 9-0 that a Mississippi school board had not violated the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause when it classified a student of Chinese descent as colored and barred her from attending a white school.
West Virginia State Board of Education versus Barnett is a landmark decision by the United States Supreme Court. This case was about the freedom of speech clause in the First Amendment, protecting students from being forced to salute the American flag or say the Pledge of Allegiance in public school. In 1942, about a month after the United States entered World War II, the West Virginia Board of Education adopted a rule that all public school students in the state must salute the American flag and say the Pledge of Allegiance each school day. In a 6-3 decision, the court overruled its decision in Minersville School District versus Gobitas and held that compelling public school children saluting the flag being unconstitutional. Farmington versus Takushik. This case was in 1927. It was a case in which the Supreme Court of the United States struck down the territory of Hawaii's law, making it illegal for schools to teach foreign languages without a permit. It violated the Due Process Clause of the Fifth Amendment. Violation of the Due Process Clause under the 14th Amendment was not considered, as Hawaii was a territory of the United States at the time. This was a violation of the Fifth Amendment. It inhibited students' rights to the pursuit of liberty, life, and due process of law.
And this concludes our presentation of Chapter 1.